What's up, everybody? Tony Cotillo here, Fighting for Overtime podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you're watching this show from. Now, this was supposed to be a promo for tomorrow night's show. This was supposed to be, I'm sitting in here and I'm getting together my thoughts and getting together what the questions are going to be for my great guest and Jake Hirsch tomorrow night, who's worked with professional athletes and youth athletes all over the world in training. And then the story drops, the bomb drops, and I got to touch on it. That's what I do here. Okay, that's what I do here. So if you're checking in, if you're watching right here live on Facebook, okay, if you're watching live on YouTube, I want you to check in with this. I'm going to talk about this story. If you have comments, bring them in. I listen. This is why I started the Fighting for Overtime podcast, to talk about youth sports, but it doesn't always. It's the side that nobody wants to talk about. It's a side that nobody wants to bring up. Okay, and I'm going to get to the story. Just so you know, I'm going to get to the story as we talk right now. Okay, because these are the things. These are the things that we need to talk about. Okay, these are the things that we need to talk about when it comes to our local and national, but especially our local youth sports. Okay, I mean, I can't even tell you how fired up and angry I get. Okay, when we talk about things like this. Okay, and again, the problem is everybody, everybody again who has dealt with William Tennent athletics, everybody again who has dealt with the debacle over the years, and nobody wants to talk about it, right? Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about the great stories. Everybody wants to talk about the good shit, but nobody ever wants to talk about the stuff that people aren't talking about. Well, that's why I'm here, because I've told you before. I continue to tell you, I don't have any more skin in the game here. Okay. My kids are out. They've graduated. They had a listen, they've had a fantastic, okay, career when it comes to academics. Okay, when it comes to academics, they always had that. Okay, that's one thing I will tell you right now. Let me just let me do something right here. While we're live right here, what happens is sometimes, if I don't change things, things have, like, what is this guy talking about? All right. So my own producer here, man. Like, again, own producer. So William Tennent High School continues to let players down. It just does. Let's parents down, let's players down. Okay. And I'm gonna get to exactly what has happened again. Now that's what has happened again. New story comes out. Okay. New story comes out that they get rid of their high school football coach. Okay. They decide to move on from their high school football coach. Now, this is a guy, again, who was recognized 2 years ago by the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. For being, again, one hell of a head coach. Now, I'm gonna give you the quick skinny on it. Okay. And then I will read it for you. I'll read you the article in Philly Burbs. Okay. I'm going to read you the article in Philly Burbs. And specifically, okay, all because this dude who's going to school for his master's to help kids in counseling, okay, couldn't get to school by 2:30. Couldn't get to school by 2:30. Okay. So the hell would try to make accommodations for the guy who everybody likes. The hell would try to do that and try to figure something out. Not only do they get rid of the guy to staff, but they don't let the dude even go. They tell him, oh, we don't want you at the banquet. Are you kidding me? Like, legit, are you friggin' kidding me? Like, what is going on at William Tennent when it comes to the athletics department? What is going on? Because I will challenge multiple people here. And again, I will never, if somebody gives me something in confidence, I will never say who it was or none of that. But all I know, all I can see to know is I get a ton of people, okay, that talk on a negative level when it comes to athletics at William Tennent High School. Okay? It just does. Now, when I was at William Tennant, or my kids were at William Tennant, I dealt with some dude, Matt Shea, who was a stiff. He wasn't good. He was terrible. Okay, that dude, he never returned your phone calls. Listen, he never helped you out, never listened to you as a parent, never listened to you as a kid. Now you got, I don't know, like John Creighton, I think his name is. Okay, you don't hear nothing great about this dude either. Okay, you don't hear nothing great about this guy either. Okay, and it's amazing too. Guy's so good that Philly Burbs, Tom Moore put out this article, and it's amazing that they reached out to Creighton for context. They reached out to the principal for context. And oh, by the way, guess who wasn't available? The principal or the athletic director. Nobody was there. Isn't it amazing? Nobody was there. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Local people, are you surprised? Yeah, exactly. Me neither. Okay? Me neither. This is the problem. This is the problem. Nobody wants to speak up, right? There's a few people that will, but nobody wants to speak up. And you know why? I get it. Like, here's the thing. I understand, because when you're going through the motions, when your child is in a sport, you're so concerned that if you open your mouth, if you say something, if you become the targeted parent, what's going to happen is it's going to impact your kid. And I get it. I've been there. Okay. Right. I've been there. I couldn't wait. To unleash the fury once I got out of that school for the people that put me down, put my kids down. And I watched them put other kids down that walk on water over at that school for some goddamn reason. I have no idea. Okay. And the athletics department's a complete freaking joke. It's a joke. Every sport in William Tennant that I know of, except one I have personally have played, which was volleyball, every sport had an issue. Everyone had an issue, whether it be with a coach, whether it be with an assistant coach, whether it be with the AD, whether it be with a principal. And this just proves again that William Tennant, when it comes to their athletics, does not give two shits about any of the kids. They don't care about the way they're treated. They don't care about their achievement. They don't care about shit. Okay? All they care about is this weird program that they swear they have to live it off something from 1975, because I ain't seen none of that program shit ever come to fruition when it comes to accolades. Okay? It's all the coaches that have the big heads and the egos and the accolades. That's what it's all about. That's what's always been about that friggin' school. And I don't understand how these people continue to hold these jobs over there. I don't get it. So let me read the story. Okay. Real fast. It's a quick one. And it's on phillyburbs.com. Okay. phillyburbs.com. This is by Tom Moore. Actually, you know what? Even better. This is what we're going to do. Let me share the screen because, so you people are reading what I'm reading. Okay. So again, William Tennant High School is there you go. Now we're up there, right? This is what we're going to read. We're going to read the article. Okay. It's by Tom Moore, fantastic writer for the Bucks County Courier Times. William Tennant replacing Leach as football coach. Okay. But that's not the story. Now look, when he was hired as head football coach of William Tennant in January 2023, Colin Leach, which is the person they got rid of, said, this is somewhere I plan on being for a very long time. Now, I'm going to tell you, I personally am going to reach out to Colin. I would love to have Colin on this program and tell his side of the story. So let's read what I know right now. But Leach confirmed Tuesday morning that he is out after 3 years at Tennant. Leach, 32, said Tennant principal told him it has nothing to do with you as a coach or your X and O ability. There is a non-negotiable that you need to be at William Tennant at 2:30 each school day to be the head football coach. Now, Leach is a guidance counselor at Colonial Middle School. Employment meeting is unable to get to Tennant that early. So let me just stop there for a second. I got a couple questions, and I don't know if this could be answered. If you're watching this on replay, if you want to send me a DM, right? If you want to tell me in confidence, it's cool. All I want to know is, was this non-negotiable? Was this in a non-negotiable contract when Leach took the job. Because if it was, why did they hire him? Right? And furthermore, if it wasn't, why is it talked about now? And if it was, and his job wasn't affected then, because he's done such a goddamn good job, don't you think you can make concessions for this guy? Don't you, like, everything he's done, you can't make concessions for him? These are the issues that I have. These are the issues that I have that I don't understand. And I will never understand. Okay? So the Karakakapa, whatever the hell this guy's name is, the principal over there, okay, let's call him Mr. C, said that Leach cannot be there at 2:30. We are going to look internally. There's a shocker. Here's a shock. We're going to look internally at filling the football coach position. Could that mean because you want to find one of your soldiers at William Tennent? You want to find one of your people that are going to follow the William Tennent program way? And they're just going to kind of just say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it, Mr. Creighton. You got it, Mr. Creighton. Whatever you want, buddy. Whatever you want. That's what they want. That's what they're saying internally. Okay? That's what that means. Read between the lines, people. Wake the hell up. See what's going on here. They didn't want this dude in there, obviously, and this was an excuse to get rid of him. That's the way I look at it. And just listen, if Mr. C or Mr. Creighton want to come on and tell me different, they got the forum. Tell them all. Okay, obviously they ain't gonna tell me because they didn't even tell Philly Burbs because they were silent for comment. The Panthers went 7-23 in Leach's 3 seasons as coach, compiling a 2-13 record in Suburban One League American Conference. Tennent was 1-9 this fall. They compiled a 48-149 record in football over the past 19 seasons. So please understand something. William Tennent has never been a good football team, right? But we're not talking about wins and losses. We're talking about character. We're talking about team building. We're talking, again, it's not always about wins and losses, man. It's about how do you build these kids in a society that absolutely sucks right now. That's what it's all about, okay? And obviously, when William Tennent, see, here's my problem too. How William Tennent going to stay in all business in their athletics when this isn't like we're talking about a trophy case full of championships here. A 48-149 record over 19 seasons and has to qualify for District 1 playoffs. Look, obviously it's not Kyle Leach's issue. Sounds like it's a William Tennent issue, if you ask me. In the Facebook post addressed to William Tennent administration and community, I love these. I'm blocked by them, by the way. Oh, well, I'm still blocked by the soccer team fan book page. That's probably because a parent runs it. And the parent doesn't like me. So she probably runs or he runs or whatever behind a computer screen, doesn't want to listen to comments either. So in a Facebook post addressed to William Tennent administration community, the Tennent senior football players wrote that Leach and his staff are asked this is crazy, are asked not to attend the January 10th team banquet and that they really want him there. The kids want the friggin', bad enough you got rid of the guy. The kids want the coach there. And you, as a school, as an athletics department, it's probably coming from the principal and Creighton, okay, who says they don't want the coach there. Are you serious? Why? Why? This isn't a coach, okay? Excuse me. This isn't a coach that was banned because he did something horrific. This wasn't a coach that was brought up on charges for something. No, he couldn't get there by 2:30, which was a non-negotiable for William Tennent. A non-negotiable for William Tennent, okay? Think about how ridiculous this is. Think about how ridiculous this is. The kid's right. He's one of us. He shared in our highs and lows. He pushed us and guided us. When the coach is excluded, it feels like we as players are being pushed aside as well. It sends the message that our relationships, our experiences, and our final moments as seniors aren't important enough to protect. Yo, I love it. Whoever's quote that is, beautiful. It's a beautiful way to get your point across. And bravo, young man, whoever that was, because that's spot on. That's spot on. You took a guy that was in the war room with you. over the last 3 years, was in a war room with you. Your final season as senior. Bad enough. Bad enough. You probably dealt with a bunch of shit from the AD anyway throughout the entire year because he's no help with anything. Okay. All he does is cause issues. And at the end of the day, here you are writing this heartfelt message because you want your coach that they've already got rid of just to be there for your banquet, to give you the speech. So instead, what are you going to send some stiff there that has no idea what's going on? That's probably what they're going to do. That's what they did. That's what they did for in Klinger when my son played soccer. You know, during the COVID year, like when things got shut down, they put some stiff in there to read the names, and guess whose name didn't get called? My kids. They didn't even know his name. They didn't even know he existed. They weren't even a coach. See, here's the issue. It's not about the accolades at all. It's about what you like. Think about the mental anguish that you're giving these kids right now. Think about the mental anguish and the anxiety you're giving this former coach right now. Think about it. This is a dude who went. Let's talk about him. He coached the offensive line and special teams at Tennent for 2 years when he was getting his master's in counseling at Gwinnett Mercy and was also an assistant athletic director. He was the tight ends coach at Council Rock in 2021-22, an all-Catholic center at Bishop McDevitt for Pat Manzi. In 2009, he coached the offensive line at McDevitt from 2013 to 16 before becoming Cheltenham offensive line coach in 2017-18. Neither Mr. C, the principal, nor the athletic director, John Creighton, responded to emails during school on Tuesday. Of course not. They don't give a shit. They don't care. Do you think they really care? Do you think dude, that dude walks around that school like he walks on water. I've watched him. It's a joke. Absolute joke. Nobody says anything. Nobody does nothing about it. Okay, listen to this dude's resume. And I'm back on Colin Leach. Listen to his resume. You talk about coaches that you want, right? You talk about coaches that you want. The coaches that you want right now are the coaches that come up through the system, right? Not the William Tennent system. What I mean is just the high school system in general. This dude went to school, got himself a master's, and think about it. How many times do we talk about the mental health and anxiety aspect of youth sports in our world today? And how many times do we talk about having a school psychologist or somebody that understands giving these coaches training when it comes to mental health? How many times do we talk about that? You had a coach that not only had the training, he had a goddamn master's degree and was working as a full-time counselor in another school. You had the trifecta. You had the perfect storm for a coach, and you get rid of him because he can't make a non-negotiable 230 spot? You got to be freaking kidding me, man. That school is an absolute freaking joke. It's a joke. I am so glad that I am out when it comes to that athletics bullshit over at William Tennent. I am so goddamn glad. So glad. And here's the funny thing, man. Here's the funny thing. The funny thing is, I gotta, and he's not gonna mind. He's not gonna mind because it's just this. It's the way he is, man. It's the way he's built. Okay. When all right. So, and again, like I like to read these things, okay? Because, like I said, everybody has their own experiences, okay? This person writes, I know the AD and the principal. I like them both. I don't know who made the call to call coaches can't attend, but it was off school property. No reason why they can't attend. Perfect point. Says this is also not the first time coaches were let go before a banquet. Maybe make an adjustment and make sure the banquet is held before any coaches changes are decided to avoid this in the future. It really is not fair to the boys. And after all, it should be about them, not the adults. They sacrifice a lot to put on that uniform. Well said. And here's what I like about this comment. What I like about this comment, okay, is it does show. Listen, this person's not afraid to say, I know that these people and I like them. That's cool. I've said this before. It's okay. Everybody has their own experiences. It only affects you if it affects you, right? And that's not being ignorant, it's being truthful. Like, you may go through and you may have a great experience, but I guarantee you that experience is probably less than 10%. I'd say less than 10% of kids, if you're willing to say it, have had a very degrading experience on multiple parts of that athletics area over there at William Tennent in the past 20 years. I'm not afraid to say it. But I agree. Listen, I agree with this person 100% when they say that, listen, come on, man. Like, whether the banquet, that's even a great point, though. What they say is, if the banquet's held off campus, like off school property, like, who are you? Like, think about it. He's asked not to attend. Think about how these people think they're so powerful. Now you not only do you get rid of this guy, but you're asking him not to attend a banquet that you have nothing to do with, that's not even held at your school or your property. I'd be like, screw you, man. Are you serious? But you know what? This dude's probably one of the nicest people. And I get it. I got it. Like, it's just a shame. Somebody writes, this is ridiculous. How do you not let the man attend the banquet if the students want him there? You talk about bad optics. This shows what kind of athletic and school program they run. Now, that's somebody from the outside, right? Somebody from the outside. Now, here's my buddy, okay, who listen, you're going to read the comments. You just don't see them right now because they're not coming up from Facebook. So I'm on my phone reading them. Okay, but this is the football coach from Father Judge. Okay, says, who I know. Okay, Tim, talk to me, brother. I don't know what that means. What if the coach is my and one? Talk about it. Talk about it, brother. Talk about it. I'm not sure what that means. But let me get into my man Bill, who's the head coach over there at Father Judge. He says Colin is a good man and a good football coach. So many administrators are so out of touch with their student athletes. I am sure the problem with William Tennent is Colin not getting to school by 2:30 with a laugh emoji. He knows that's a joke. He says Colin won't have any trouble landing another job. I would steer clear of this job opening. There's a head coach. There's a head coach right there saying, dude, are you people kidding me? Are you people kidding me? See, I just wish I could get more people to speak out. Okay, I do. I wish I could get, and it's a shame. It's okay though. Like, I get it. I get it. I understand it. But again, we're in a society where so many things are screwed up. And youth sports has just spiraled out of control. It's turned into a money-hungry pit. It's turned into a popularity contest. It's turned into so many talk about. Japan. We're actually talking about a coach in my area that was let go of his job for 3 years. Not because he did something horrific, because he couldn't be at school by 2:30 because he was a school counselor at another school that was probably about 25 miles away. Okay? Probably about 25 miles away. And he was told that just because of that, they don't want him to attend the banquet. Right? Tim says, what if he was my guest to join me at the banquet and was paid for if my son was on the team? Would he be turned away at the door? It's just ridiculous. Great point. Great point, Tim. Exactly. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? See, and here's what I will say. And this is the part that nobody wants to talk about, man. This is the part that nobody wants to talk about. Let me ask this. So, Tim, think about this, my man, and everybody listening, think about this. Are they trying to hide something? So the first thing I would say is the athletics department trying to hide something? They won't return phone calls. They won't return messages. They won't answer emails, and they want to keep this guy away. Why? Are you afraid that he may make a speech and say something? Are you afraid he may let the cat out of the bag that your program sucks, right? And that maybe you guys were dead ass wrong for doing what you did? But no, they're not hiding nothing over there, man. It's a great athletics department over there at William Tennent. Fantastic. They do so much, man. I feel so bad. You know how many kids have had a horrific senior year, whether it be soccer, whether it be track, whether it be football, baseball, an absolute joke what they do, an absolute joke. The situation, okay, of how disconnected they are from what's going on right now is mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is. And I'll never understand it. I won't. I'll never understand. Like I said, I mean, a lot of this stuff has happened to me personally. I've seen a lot of this stuff. I've been part of the charade, so to speak. I've been part, of a lot of the adversity. I have. Unfortunately, I have. And you know what? Now that I see it from an outside perspective, it makes me even more mad. Makes me even more mad. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Like, we live in a place right now where everybody is fragile, especially these kids. These kids are going to school every day, not knowing what they're going to witness. Unfortunately, they're trying to pave their way academically, and then they're trying to be the hell of an athlete that everybody expects them to be, right? They all expect them to be that hell of an athlete in the weight room, off the field, everything. There's a lot of pressure on these kids. There's a lot of pressure on these kids. And you now add this kind of stunt into the mix. It's why I started this podcast. It's why I started it. Again, make sure you go follow at Fighting for Overtime on all your social formats. Fighting for Overtime, the podcast. I've had kids that have gone to William Tennent. I have kids going to other schools. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had anybody come on my program and said they've had a fantastic experience. And again, I only call people out when it's warranted. Okay? I only call people out when it's warranted. And again, at the end of the day, this is a major story right now. This is a major story. And I will say this. This again is one of those stories that there needs to be more to this. There needs to be more context to this, whether it be Fox 29, whether it be NBC, whether it be ABC. Okay. Somebody needs to get the story and somebody needs to figure this out. And, there needs to be microphones showed up at that school. Okay. Because I would love to see and find out about this non-negotiable 230 thing first. Okay. I'd have both. I'm not even a reporter. I'm not a journalist. Okay. I'm a guy who is in the PR industry. I'm a guy who's in the media industry. I run my own PR company. I run my own media company. Okay. So I kind of understand the questions that need to be asked, even though I'm not the reporter. Okay. And I've always said I would love to have a news presence at that school when something like this happens, so people understand it and make them answer questions. And maybe this is the story now that we need. Maybe this is the story now, because again, listen, whether we like these people or not, what they're doing to these kids right now is an absolute travesty. Okay. And no matter, here's the problem that I have too. Even if the ending turns, even if we have a fairy tale ending, it doesn't matter. The damage is already done. The damage is already done. You've already damaged the psyche of these kids. You've already put these kids through emotional trauma. You've already put these kids to the point where they're already thinking like, man, we're talking January 10th. So these kids and these families have to wait over a month right now to see if maybe this will help change the decision. Man, I'll tell you what. This is a complete shame to me. And they need to be held accountable. I'm sorry. That school needs to be held accountable for instances like this. Because I watched what it did to my son. I watched what it did to me. I've watched what it's done to other people. And they have they could care less. Right? I'm trying to be really nice. They couldn't care less. Right? All I know is, right, my man Tim checking it says ridiculous. These events are so great comment, Tim. Ridiculous. These events are so important for our hardworking kids, and the speeches are so personal and important and mean the world. That's a great point. This is some of the kids' last hurrah. Makes me cry like a baby hearing these speeches. Me too, brother. Except where my kids were ridiculed, which is a complete joke. It's their last time to shine for most. Let these guys attend and fade away if that's the choice. Exactly. Like, again, if you're so hell-bent on getting rid of this guy, you mean to tell me you obviously knew what the banquet was, right? You obviously knew. I mean, let's be honest. Like, you couldn't do this the right way. Right? You couldn't, like, now you can't even allow this coach to address his team the proper way. You can't even let this coach tell his side of the story. Well, I am saying right now, I do not know Colin Leach. I do not know. Okay. But I have personally sent a request out to him via Facebook because obviously that's where I can find him. Okay. So if anybody out there knows Colin Leach, okay, and let him know that I would love to hear his side if he wants to talk about it. I will give him the platform. Me and him can sit on here. He could come to my house, in my studio. Okay. We could sit here virtually, whatever it is. Okay. We could talk about it. Right. We could talk about it because I feel like he needs to be heard, man. And you know what? Again, like my buddy Billy said, okay, I'm going to read it to you again because it's so important, man. This is so important. I'm gonna read it to you again because it's very, very important. These comments, okay, are important, man. These comments are very, very, very important. Okay, so again, I'm gonna read you again. This is the head football coach, okay, from Father Judge, okay, head football coach for Father Judge. Very easy. You'll see it. Comes right up. Well, okay. He says Colin is a good man and a good football coach. So many administrators are so out of touch with their student athletes. That line right there, so goddamn true. He says Colin won't have any trouble landing another job. I would steer clear of that job opening. Meaning, if I'm a coach looking for a job, I steer clear of William Tennent. I way clear of William Tennent. Right? Let's steer way clear William Tennent. Okay? Because you want no part of that. Now, Tim brings up a good thing again. If you're live checking in, make sure you go like the podcast at Fighting for Overtime. Most important thing. Okay? At Fighting for Overtime. TikTok, Instagram, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Odyssey, Spotify, you name it. Got a great guest tomorrow night. Got Jake Kirsch coming on from ETS Training. They're a Division I athlete, played at the University of Minnesota, works with people like Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. So we're going to get him on tomorrow night. But tonight we're talking about another William Tennent debacle. A local high school, which is right here in Bucks County, that lets the players down again. Just lets the players down again. But they get rid of their coach because he couldn't follow a non-negotiable. Again, for people just tuning in, supposedly they want their coach to be there at 2:30 every day, which, okay, I get it. I'm not going to trump that. Okay. However, my point is He's been the coach for 3 years. Are you saying that he couldn't make it for 3 years? Because that doesn't sound like that to me. What it sounds like to me is you just put that in there. You said it become a problem. Okay. It's become a problem. And unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, now you want to do something about it. Right? It's crazy. Japan says it's the same in Mississippi. Administrator not being connected to student athletes because they don't care. Honestly, they don't care. It's a complete joke, man. Unfortunately, it's like it starts in middle school, right? It starts in middle school. The coaches in middle school, okay, they get paid, they get a stipend. Oh, that's why they want to coach. Most of the middle school people that are coaching don't do it for the love of the game or the love of the kids. They have no clue. I remember when my daughter played softball at Klinger, the coaches had no idea. Zero. But again, they got paid, right? They got paid. So because they got paid, they got a stipend, and because I guess they were on tenure and they had seniority, they wanted the job. What? Okay, that doesn't help the kids, right? That doesn't help the kids, right? So there's everybody is so disconnected, right? The administration is so disconnected, and I want to bring it back to the mental health aspect for a second. And we've talked about this specifically on this program when we talk about mental health and anxiety when it comes to our youth athletes with all the stress and the strenuous activities that they're put in mentally and physically. And you're talking about a situation here where now you're just putting more anxiety, more angst on these kids and the parents wondering, again, they're seniors, they're senior parents out there. What, like Tim said, waiting for that speech. What are they going to say about my son? What are they going to say about my daughter? What are they going to say? Like, you go into these things. Listen, I had a horrible experience when it comes to speeches. Okay. Horrible. Okay. I'm going to do an episode on that before because the soccer coach was so worried about, my son's body and how he being short and not physically fit instead of talking about him working hard to get back on the field. It was an absolute joke. I have it recorded. I'll never forget it. And again, unfortunately, I'll never forget it for the wrong reasons, not the right reasons. Okay. I'll always forget it for the wrong reasons, not the right reasons. Now, luckily, my other son, he never had anything good at banquets when, again, soccer, because the soccer program sucks. Okay. Yeah, I said it. The soccer program sucks. But when he went to volleyball, it was a totally different thing. Totally different thing. And that's that. Let me bring that up for a second too. Isn't that crazy to me? That's so crazy to me that the AD at William Tennent and the volleyball coach at William Tennent are connected, but totally different people. Two Creightons, but totally different people. Volleyball coach couldn't be any different. He couldn't be more different than the AD. It just shows you this dude he's off, right? He's disconnected. Obviously, I have no idea who the principal is. Okay, but again, these situations only impact you when they do. Listen, sometimes you can go through an entire career in high school and never have an issue. Maybe your kid doesn't have an issue. Thankfully, I congratulate you. That's wonderful because I wish nobody would have an issue and everybody would have a pleasurable experience. Unfortunately, the majority does not. The majority does not. And unfortunately, a big percentage of that majority doesn't want to speak out about it. I don't hold that against anybody. I get it. I understand it. Right? I understand it. But the thing is, when you want people to speak out, like in this situation where you want the AD to speak out and you want the principal to speak out and they don't, it means that they're hiding something, in my opinion. They don't want to speak out. And it just also is a bad look because it shows that they don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care what they're standing on this big hill of power that they think they have and this big hill of business, and they don't care. You are there to give these kids the best experience that you can give them. They have 4 years, and you should make sure that every coach, every assistant, every volunteer is under the same method of making sure that these kids aren't going. It ain't about making sure your kids go to Division One. It ain't about that. It's about making sure that these kids have a great experience. Make sure these kids they grow up as fantastic human beings, athletes second. Okay. And right now, you're showing that doesn't matter. You're showing that doesn't matter. You showed your hand. Okay. You showed your hand. And like I said, no matter what comes out of this, you've already showed your hand. You can't go back. Right? You can't go back. Right? I mean, all the time. Isn't it supposed to be fun? Exactly. Right? Exactly. That's the thing. The fun part of high school sports is again, it's not involved. Lord said, no, it's win. Exactly. That's the problem. Japan's teacher, but he worked in the Air Force. Never asked to be paid. Just want to help the kids do better in soccer. Extra money on their. While I was in high school, my dad stepped up to be an assistant coach. Didn't get paid a single dollar, but they told him he couldn't coach anymore. Here you go. Because he was a teacher, but he worked in the Air Force. Never asked to be paid. Just want to help the kids do better in school. But no, he can't coach no more. There's another great example. What the hell is wrong with these people, man? Like, I'm being honest. What the hell is wrong with these people? Like, I really would love to know. I really would. The more and more that I do some of these stories, the more and more that I find these things, it just makes me lose my mind. It does. It really does, because I continue to say this. And again, check in comments. Again, we're talking about another William Tennent debacle, which is a local high school here in Bucks County. They let their players down again because they're known for letting their players down. Okay. They're definitely known for letting their players down. And what they've done this time is they've relieved their head football coach of his duties, not because he did something horrific, but because he couldn't make a non-negotiable, okay, that's they're calling it a non-negotiable, of being at the field by 2:30 every day, because he works as a school counselor in another district, right? In another district. So again, if that's the case, I want to know, was the non-negotiable, was that a non-negotiable when you hired Colin? And if it was, why does it take 3 years for you to tell me it's now an issue? And if it wasn't a non-negotiable, or it wasn't an issue 3 years ago, and it just became an issue, for a guy that's giving you everything, for a guy that's come up, why wouldn't you make accommodations or try to figure this thing out? Honestly. I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? And on top of that, the worst part is they decide to say, guess what? We don't want you at the banquet. We don't want you at the seniors banquet. I like, absolute joke to me. It's an absolute joke. I don't know what we're doing when it comes to youth sports. I don't know what we're doing over at that school. Okay, like I said, I'm out of that school now. And yeah, I've had people say that they've had a great experience. Very far and few between. Okay, I'm going to be honest, very far and few between. But I will say this, if you are a parent, okay, if you are a parent, please tell me if you would like to come on. Even if you want to privately send me a message, my DMs are open. I would love to hear if you have another side of this story. right? And again, this is not to, you know, interrogate anybody. It's just trying to get to the bottom of this because something to me just doesn't make sense when it comes to the school point. Like, why wouldn't they want this guy at a banquet that's off campus? I don't understand. To me, again, it's just a terrible look. And it just shows how disconnected, like my buddy Bill said, how disconnected they are. Right? It just shows how disconnected they are. Right? So man, my Bill says if that's the line in the sand, see, this is what I love about it. And here's a football coach right here, Father Judge High School, says if that's the line in the sand, 90% of us coaches wouldn't be employed. And Bill went and Bill, the invitation's still there. I know you're busy, brother. I know you're busy. Okay. But in the off season, when things slow down, I got 2 chairs behind me right there, bro. Me and you. Okay. I need to get you in one of these chairs. Okay. Because I want people to understand the William Seitzman experience. I do. I want people to I say that wholeheartedly, and I'm not going to spoil it, but just the way you've come up and this, what you did at Frankfort High School, what you're doing now at Father Judge, one of the good guys, Okay. I would love to have you. I know you've already accepted, but when you have time, bro, I'd love to get you here. Right. I'd love to get you here. Lori says, my coach had a job. He expected us to be warmed up and ready to go, and he would pick up a bat and we were going. Yes. That's the, and Lori, that's not me. You mean to tell me that these kids as seniors, I'm sure Colin wasn't the only coach. Now, again, listen, let's talk about soccer. Let's talk about soccer over William Tennent, right? I remember when my kids were playing there, their coach never showed up half the time. Mr. Rooney, the head soccer coach. He barely showed. And when he did, he was an hour late. He was a half hour late. Listen, I hold it against him, but they never said nothing about that. Oh, I know why. Because wasn't Rooney a Fox Chase guy? Didn't he grow up at Fox Chase? Just like Creighton? Were they buddies? Were they boys? Hey, man, I'm just saying. Like, unless you come out there and you say, okay, and you give your story and your side, these are what people are going to, what I think, 2 Fox Chase boys, right? Hanging out, sticking up for each other. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But all I know is when he was a soccer coach, there was nothing said. No matter how many late he came from, where he had a painting job or he had something else. Listen, great. I respected him for even getting there. And this isn't about Rooney, but my question is, why wasn't it a problem? Why wasn't it a problem then? But again, nobody here for comment. Nobody's willing to comment. Oh, come on, man. Stop hiding. Everybody got to stop hiding. That's the thing. Like, see, these are what the stories are that nobody talks about. These are what the stories are. Okay. And again, a lot of this animosity that I have is because I dealt with this on a personal level. Okay. I've been holding off on certain things that are going to come out in the new year. Okay. I will talk about the cops showing up at my house when I was coaching. I'll talk about me being kicked out of an organization and my kid being told to get off the soccer field at 10 years old. Okay. I'm going to bring all that up. Okay. I'm going to bring all that stuff up. The stuff that people don't even know about I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore. Okay. I'm not, because it's all about the kids. At the end of the day, it's all about the kids. It's about what they're thinking. It's about what their mindset is. It's about what their mental psyche is and their stability. It ain't about you, William Tennent. It ain't about you, Creighton. It's about the kids. That's who it's about. Okay? That's who it's about. It's a bunch of clowns. Lori says, I was just saying that nobody clocked my coach when it was right. No, Lori, I completely agree. And my thing is this situation specifically, and I would tell you how I read this. I'm gonna tell you how I read this. Somebody didn't like this dude. Somebody didn't like him. I'm not saying it's a parent. Not saying somebody didn't like him. And this is what happens over at that school. Okay, now the internal politic wagon starts to turn. Right, the internal politic wagon starts to turn because now you get, well, who doesn't like him? Who doesn't like some of the things he does? Well, what? Think about this. When you're an employer and here's a perfect example. Perfect example. If you're a manager and employer in a union shop, then the union is abided by a contract. Now, remember, I can speak on this because I've been on both sides. I've been a committee man on the board on a union, on the executive board, negotiated contracts, and I've also been on the management side. So, in order, you may not like somebody personally. You may not like what they do. However, they're binded by a contract. So the only reason, like I've seen on the management side, I've seen year after year, like 3-year meetings about how do we get rid of this person? What can we catch them on? How can we do it? How can we get around the contract? So in my opinion, this is what it says to me. This is what it says to me in this situation. Somebody didn't like this guy. And this is full speculation. Somebody didn't like this guy. Somebody didn't like his methods. Somebody didn't like something. So they decided, how can we put this guy on the outs? How can we slide him away? Oh, what's the one thing he can't do? What can we hold against him? So let's hold against him that he went to school to get his master's to be a school counselor. Okay, full time in another district. And I will say this. Don't think for another second that they don't personally feel that if he's not in the district, he's not good enough. I'm just going to be honest with you. What did that article say? They will look for somebody internally to fill. What does that mean? They want somebody with the William Tennent way. Whatever the hell the William Tennent way is, I'd love to know. Somebody explain to me what the friggin' William Tennent way is. That's what I want to know. I want to know what that is. So that's what this situation tells me. So Billy says, bullseye. The 230 stuff is absolute BS. Bill, I agree. I agree. And it was a way for them to get around whatever they needed to get around. That's what it was. It was a way for them to get around what they obviously wanted to do. It was a way for them to get around what they wanted to do. That's okay, though. That's okay. And it's like, at the end of the day, when you look at this entire landscape, it's almost like when we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't want to make this an Eagles conversation. I'm just trying to make a comparison. The whole A.J. Brown effect, right? When A.J. Brown, when he wasn't elaborating on what he was talking about, what happened? Speculation. People start to speculate, tie things together. So this is a message to you, William Tennent, the principal, Mr. C. I can't say his last name. I don't want to butcher it. I'll give him that much respect. John Creighton, the AD. If you don't want people to speculate on your program, and you don't want people to speculate on why you made this move, then make a statement. Very simple. Come out, make a statement. Elaborate on the questions. Listen, I will give you the forum. You can sit here and we can talk together. you probably won't want to do that, right? But that's okay. But you have the ability to do that. And the reason why I say that will kill all speculation. That will clear the whole thing up. The problem is they don't want to do it. If they want to do it, they would already do it. They've obviously think they're bigger than everybody else. They feel like they're bigger than the program, that they don't really care, right? They don't really care. And the crazy part is it's December. Has anybody thought about that too? It's December. So these kids have to have a bad taste in their mouth the entire year in that school because of this debacle. Think about that. How you doing them a service now? How you doing them a service now? Such a shame. Such a shame. I don't understand. My man Tim checking in says, thank God you have a great stable family, because to a kid that doesn't have that, you get treated that way, the results for the child could be way different. Thank God your kids have that solid support and foundation. But a bunch of kids don't have this, and that could be a lifelong devastation. Bro, that's so true. That's so true. I've brought this up on numerous occasions, Tim. What if, I always bring this back to my stories, and that's the only way I can establish some credibility, is when my kid was done wrong. And I won't go into the whole situation, but what if he didn't have a support system, right? What if he didn't have a support system? What if he didn't have anybody to talk to? You owe it to these kids to at least make sure that you handle every situation the right way and understand the impact, right? The impact that it can have. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people don't understand. It's a shame. Absolute shame. Japan says, what would it take for us to put on a banquet for the coach? That's a great question, man. That's a great question. I will say this, Japan. This ain't over. My man Billy says, I've had many kids yes, thank you, Bill. Thank you. So true. So true. And again, once I get Bill on it, in one of these chairs, he's going to elaborate on this, because he puts in capital letters many, right? He puts in capital letters many, because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's lived it. He's breathed it. He understands it. He gets it, right? He gets it. Japan says, let me know. I would like to help fund it if we got to. Man, you're so awesome, man. That's why I love my peeps on this channel. You guys are amazing. Japan, I will definitely keep you posted. And that's only because Japan hit some of the good bets I give out when I'm on. But I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, and all things considered, I have a feeling that this situation is going to grow. I do. I think there's more to this situation. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is the kind of situation that now I'm going to have to take matters under my wing a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can push this to the media. And, listen, obviously they already done it in a Bucks County in the Courier Times because it's a local paper. But this needs to be on the news. That we need to get these people talking. We need to get these people talking. So my goal this week is to reach out to the news stations, to use some of my leverage I have as a publicist and a PR company with my media connections to try to get this covered, because I think this is important. I do. Everybody deserves to know. And again, I say this again, the way you stop the storm is you come out and explain, right? You come out and explain. There has to be an explanation. Has to be. You silence everything. That's if you care to silence it. There should be some type of explanation. Okay? There should be some type of explanation on why there's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of questions. I want to know about the non-negotiable. I want to know when it was in place. I want to know why it was an issue. Was it an issue before? Why it wasn't an issue before? I want to bring up past instances where I will get people to back me up in references where a soccer coach was never there on time. Right? He was never there on time, but he was allowed to coach. Not only allowed to coach, but get bumped up from a freshman team to assistant coach on other levels. Like, you didn't get rid of him. You kept bumping him up. Right? I don't why? Why? I'd love to know. I'd love to what changed, right? What changed? So these are the things I need to understand. And then why are you so hell bent on this former coach now not allowed to attend a banquet to give his players flowers when you've had the players actually give the quotes to the newspapers to speak out? Why? I'd love to know why. And I think a lot of people would love to know why. I really do. So again, I did not plan on coming on here tonight and talking about this. I was supposed to come on and we were going to talk about some local stuff, but this again, I know. See, my man, see, check said tea time with Tony. I when I'm passionate about something, I like to talk about it, and I think people need they need an outlet, man. They need an outlet. They want to talk about it. They want to hear about it, and I think people deserve to have a forum, good or bad. Right? Like again, somebody checked in, said they like the. That's fine. Not everybody can feel the same way. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of the story. I'm just trying to understand myself because I've seen so many poor examples of leadership when it comes to that school, when it comes to athletics, right? When it comes to athletics. You're calling in, Sia. We need the help. And you know what? And Sia's listen because Sia runs a fantastic space on Discord, and it talks about mental health, and it talks about anxiety and things of that nature, and he understands what I'm talking about, where this is going to impact these kids from a mental health perspective. I mean, that would be my main concern, right? The finding out the answers on why is secondary. My main concern has to be flipped to the kids and how they're dealing with this in their senior year, wondering why, right? Think about all the speculation, all the false narratives that are being spread, right? Think about everything that's going on right now to find out that, again, that this coach they don't want anyone to attend a banquet that's off school premises, to be able to hand out awards and certificates and talk about highlights and talk about feel good moments, the ups and downs, right? Think about that. I mean, think about that, what that's doing now, right? Think about what that's doing now. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So I wanted to check in. My man Tim says, I'd support that for the good coaches. See, now Tim's going to make me cry. He says, Tony, you were such a great coach and mentor to my son, who ended up being a great athlete like so many others you have mentored, but would be disgusted if you weren't included and honored as well. Bro, I listen, Trav's my boy, man. Like, for real. You know that. And, I think that's why I feel so passionately about these things, because when you get connections with the kids, this is important, man. Like, this is important. Like, I thought it's such an honor to be able to watch the kids grow. It's an honor to be able to watch these kids get that dog mentality. And again, especially when it's, you're bringing it out, and they're not doing it for you as a coach. They're doing it because of you, meaning because they're actually listening. It's a great feeling, man. I say that all the time. It's a great feeling. It's a feeling to be wanted. It's a great feeling to want to be, looked at, and it's a great feeling to be involved. So think about it. That's why we're bringing these situations up, because this coach, obviously, these kids felt that about this coach, and now they're not allowed. I was there. I was there. Okay, I had a crazy, and I haven't even talked about it yet, but I had a crazy instance where I had kids whose parents called me and made a terrible decision. The parents did, while their kids were in the background crying because their parents were a bunch of friggin' morons. Okay, that's right. They were a bunch of friggin' morons, and they were making a decision for themselves and not their kids because they were idiots. And I sat on a phone with the parents as these kids were crying. Think about that. I'm being dead ass serious. That's the shit I dealt with as a coach. Okay. So I know, I get it. I know what these kids are going through. I know what these kids are feeling. So, in closing, what I will say to the kids is keep fighting, meaning keep battling this. Obviously, somebody got this story to the Bucks County Courier-Times. Somebody got this to Tom Moore, which is a great writer for the Bucks County Courier-Times. And somebody got it to him. Somebody quoted, one of the kids were quoted. So whoever that person is, number one, I open up the platform. So I don't know who that student was who gave that quote. But again, I will open up this platform to the coach, the former coach, the principal, the AD, any parent who is dealing with this situation, and any kid who's a senior right now on that team who's fighting for their coach to be able to attend their banquet. I give you my platform. Listen, I'm not WIP. I'm not 97.5 The Fanatic. However, I will tell you that sometimes you can air a message out in other ways that are bigger than the radio. Just throwing it out there. So again, I've had a lot of instances where I've been able to rectify issues on this program. We've been able to connect coaches with players on this program. We can reach, and we can reach far. So again, my platform is yours. It's all about the kids right now. It's about the kids being able to have their coach. I can't get a coach rehired. None of that. Like, again, we could talk about it, right? We could talk about it. Look, oh my God. Billy says Lane Kiffin goes to LSU after being turned down by William Tennent after it was discovered he couldn't make it to the facility until 2:45. Oh my God. I love it. I love it, Bill. I love it. Tim says, love you, brother. Keep doing all this hard work. I'll be following. You're a great man. And feel, bro, all here, dog. Me and you, T-Dog, all here, brother. For real. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. My man Japan says, as always, listen again. This was unscripted, unfiltered. It came out. Again, my DMs are open. Okay, my DMs are open. Again, I will put this right here. Fighting for overtime at gmail.com is email to the show. If you would like to touch on this, if you would like to send me an unsolicited email, right? Anonymous. If you have any information, if there's anything I could do, hit me up, fighting for overtime at gmail.com. Again, tomorrow night, it won't be live. It'll be pre-recorded, so probably be released at the end of the week. I'm going to have a fantastic episode with Jake Kirsch coming on from ETS. He is a performance expert, former Division I Minnesota Gopher football player. He works with people like Adam Thielen. He works with people like Kirk Cousins. And he works with youth athletes as young as 8 years old, trying to build them the right way, mentally and physically. Man, I cannot wait to get him on. He's got a tremendous story, got a lot of great information for the kids. And again, as always, fighting for overtime. Like, subscribe. You know the deal. I appreciate everybody's support. I'm sure I'm going to get some messages from this. I'm sure I'm going to get some emails. I can't wait to read them. Everybody, again, have a fantastic evening, and we'll catch you back here next